The concept of jihad is one of the most misunderstood, misused and abused concepts today. In fact, the very term jihad and the term jihadi that we often read in the papers or hear on television, and also sometimes by politicians, to refer to people committing terrorist crimes in the name of Islam is offensive. It is offensive not only because it goes against the spirit and the letter of the law of Islam, but also because it goes against the basic definitions of jihad. The type of legitimate jihad that involves combat and fighting is best known as qital. Jihad in the form of fighting can be valid under certain circumstances, such as defending one's own homeland against invasion or occupation, or even helping others who are subjugated to oppression and injustice, even though they are non-Muslims. And because of the very nature of the seriousness of fighting, it is heavily regulated, and the scholars of Islam distinguish legitimate forms of jihad in the form of fighting from acts of terrorism. In fact, all acts of terrorism fall under the term of hiraba. In Islamic legal terminology, hiraba simply means killing by stealth and targeting a defenseless victim in a way intended to cause terror in society. Essentially, if the target is an innocent person, a non-combatant, or a bystander, then the act is considered prohibited in our sacred law. And this opinion is not a new opinion. It is an opinion that is based on a well-known principle in Islamic law, a dhabit, that simply says it is not permissible to kill the opponent's women and children if they are not in direct combat. And this is based on the prophetic prohibition from the well-known hadith of Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, may God be pleased with him, as narrated by Imam Malik, Imam al-Shafi'i, Ahmad, Bukhari, Muslim, Ibn Majah, Abu Dawood, At-Tirmidhi, Al-Bayhaqi, and so many others. In other words, there is no doubt about this principle in our sacred law, that the killing of innocent people, regardless of who they are, and regardless of what justification one may come up with, such acts are prohibited in our sacred law. The nature of this prohibition is so specific and well defined that there can be no legal justification, nor can there be a legitimate Sharia excuse for circumventing this convention of war by targeting non-combatants or civilians whatsoever. In other words, you cannot, under the guise or the label of anything to do with Islam, justify the killing of innocent people, or justify the killing of people who are not in direct combat with you, regardless of the excuse and the justification. There are many fatwas or legal opinions that have been issued of recent time condemning acts in the name of Islam that end up killing innocent people, bystanders, under the guise of jihad. Unfortunately, however, often these statements by leading Muslim scholars do not make it in the media, for it is not sensational enough perhaps, and that is why often we get asked, why don't Muslim scholars speak more against acts of terrorism? To this I reply that the Muslim community and Muslim scholars have condemned acts of terrorism again and again and again, to distinguish between jihad and terrorism. Thank you for listening.